and I'm in my beautiful new kitchen. Just repainted these kitchen cabinets last week myself. I did make a video about the reality of doing that, so feel free to check that one out. Now today I'm here to talk about this annoying kitchen faucet that you can't get to stop dripping. You gotta sit there and work and get it in exactly the right spot. But before we do that, a few weeks ago, before I did this kitchen, I had another issue with this sink that I wanted to share with you guys. So let's take a quick trip in the Wayback Machine. So let's take a quick trip in the digital DeLorean, the video TARDIS, the virtual vortex manipulator, the Klingon bird of prey. God, I'm such a nerd. Let's just get to it. Your sink ever do that? Yeah, it's not really that much of a problem. It's just kind of annoying. Hello, so cozy and comfy in here. The bolt that I need to tighten is right there. 3/4 inch wrench, which is too small. Try an adjustable wrench. That is also too small. One-handed is not the way to do this. All right, vice grips, you're up. Nothing like moving something millimeter by millimeter. It's not moving anymore. So when you turn it on and off, it'll actually stay put and you don't feel like you're going to break it off. Now back to the task at hand. The first thing we have to do is turn the water off underneath the sink. Come with me, Josephine, in my flying machine. This is the hot water that goes to the dishwasher, so I don't really care about messing with that. I need to turn off the cold water here and then the hot water over here. Remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. All right, check to make sure that the sink is off. And you're gonna wanna cover the drain so that you don't drop anything down there. A couple of things to note here. I am not a plumber, and that's kind of the point, that you don't always have to be to do some of these minor repairs. Also, there's 1,000 different styles and types of kitchen faucets, so yours is not likely to be exactly like mine, but some of the principles are the same. There's just a few tools you're going to need for this. Either a set of channel locks or vice grips. Either one of these will probably work. You're going to have some Allen wrenches or a hex wrench, and it'll probably be helpful if you have a tiny little screwdriver. Okay, now keeping in mind that all styles and brands of faucets are going to be a little bit different, you need to locate where on your faucet the screw that holds on the handle is. For me, it is right here under this guy that has the 2 little dots on it. For some people, it might be on the back of the faucet. If you have one where the handle is back here, it's probably going to be somewhere down here. Then you see there's a hex bolt in here. You want to find the right size Allen wrench that's going to fit in there. I've actually already done that here. Now on mine, you just have to loosen it just enough for this guy to pop off. And some of them you might have to actually pull the whole screw out. Depending on what kind of faucet you have, you may or may not have a little cap that needs to go over these. Yours could be really tight. Mine's a little loose, but yours could be tight, in which case you want to use either your channel locks or the vice grips to get it unscrewed. But be very careful when you do that. Maybe put a cloth over it or maybe some rubber bands around it to kind of protect the finish. I didn't actually do that the first time I did it. I just went at it with the wrench and I ended up scraping the finish off of it. So just be careful when you do that. When you get to this point, again, your faucet might be a little bit different. You may have more gaskets and rings that are going to be involved in this process, in which case you always want to lay out everything in the order that you took it off. Here you have the adjustable ring. Now I call this the adjustable ring. Other people are going to call it a bonnet nut. There's probably some other names for it as well, and I'm sure people will comment below about that. And here you have the cartridge. Now this bonnet nut holds the cartridge in place with pressure. Sometimes what will happen is the bonnet nut will come a little bit loose and it'll let water drip out, and in which case you just need to tighten it up a little bit and you're done. But if that doesn't fix it, then you may need to get a new cartridge. All right, so I'm going to loosen this up. You can see it's kind of crusty and corroding in there. Take that off. And this is the cartridge. Now, as I mentioned before, depending on the faucet, you might have more rubber rings and gaskets going on in here than I have. In which case, just make sure you lay them out. Also, the rubber rings and gaskets could also possibly fail. So that's another thing you might have to replace. Now, I actually did take one of these apart once because, again, I'm a nerd. And there's a lot of little pieces and parts in here that could potentially break or fail. Interesting note here. These are only about 20 bucks usually. You can't always find them in, Home Depot or Lowe's or Ace Hardware because they're unique to each sink. So you will probably have to order a new one online. This Delta faucet comes with a lifetime warranty. And because I registered the product when I first bought this several years ago, they sent me a cartridge for free. All right, once you've got all replacement parts that you need, you're just going to take these things and you're going to put them back in the order that you put them out. It is also possible to make this too tight, which is what I have just done. I can barely even move this right now. If that happens, do loosen it a little. You should always make sure there is a nice firm seal in here. Put this back on. Put your handle back in there. Tighten this back up with the Allen wrench. All right. And pop this little guy back on there. All right, let's see if I did it right. Hey, it works. And no dripping. Awesome. Now, if you do that and water starts gushing out of this area, that just means you haven't tightened that adjustable ring up enough. Or maybe you left out one of your gaskets or something like that. So just turn the water back off and retrace your steps. Maybe tighten that up a little bit more. I hope some of y'all out there found this a little bit helpful. And I will see y'all again next time.